So this video is actually done by a very small creator, only 3,000 subs, but it has almost 100,000 views in 10 days. It says the finals just made a generational comeback. There's a reason why I want to watch this video. For those who don't know, I have a channel in my Discord called Hot Topics. It's over, hold up. And basically people link me videos, hopefully outside of Overwatch and Rivals, so I can learn more about other communities and do stuff. I watched a video on the finals, and I gave my opinion as somebody who had played the game a bunch on launch and then didn't play it after because I didn't like it for many reasons. And a lot of people said that those opinions were wrong. I don't think they're wrong in any way, shape, or form, but they could be outdated. I'm open to the idea of outdated. And so a lot of people said that a lot of my issues with the game have been fixed. And that resonates because I play Overwatch. And a lot of people's complaints about Overwatch are fixed or in the process of being fixed or debated being fixed. Let's say format 5.6v6. That being said, I will not take back the way I feel about the finals when I played it. It was not fun. I did not enjoy it. I didn't think it was good. No, I didn't get fucking rolled. I actually would always pretty much make it to top or top group or top level. It was not a skill issue. It was the brand new game. And if you think that I was getting fucking shit on by brand new players in an FPS game when we're all new, you're delusional. Regardless though, here's the deal. I didn't enjoy it. I didn't think it was good. And I think one of the big things was the heavy barrel meta. People have said it's changed though. And so this video got recommended to me of the finals just made a generational comeback. And I figured in the spirit of good faith, I want to watch a video that talks about the goods of the finals as opposed to why it's potentially not doing as hot. So let's go. The finals have made a generational comeback. Let's see these changes that a lot of people think that or advocated for that they've made and see if things have truly changed over there or if they have changed in what ways.
Every shooter plays the same now. Why is every game a COD or Apex clone? Remember when FPS games actually innovated?
What's sound like for you guys, by the way? I feel like it's a little quiet for me, so I'm going to turn it up. Let me know how this sounds. Is that much better?
After a somewhat rocky launch, many people
Good? Okay, cool.
were quick to write the finals off. But not because of the issues seen in Season 1 itself. The vast majority of the discussion was about the player count from people fixated on Steam charts.
Oh, true. Oh, God. Oh, the Steam
Assuming that a
charts.
player drop meant that the game was dead or dying. But that is a self-fulfilling prophecy, and as we've seen time and time again, those numbers don't tell the full story. The finals is thriving on consoles, queue times are lightning fast, SBMM is non-existent, performance is industry-leading, the gameplay is revolutionary and innovating, and they not only have a promising roadmap for the rest of the year, but also a $100,000 major tournament coming up. I can assure you that this game is finally back. This is the best shooter of the decade, and you're not playing it.
Has a very bold claim. I'm not gonna lie, I love the enthusiasm, but like I always try to take stuff like that with a grain of salt because I think certain things are the best games of the decade, right? Overwatch was for me for the longest time the game of the decade. Even in its dead years of 2019, 2020, 21, and then 2022 before Overwatch 2 came out, even though it had no content, right? Like the core of the game was still really good. But open mind.
If you're new here, my name is Artie, and I'm a full-time esports commentator, and while I used to be a full-time Valorant coach, this year I'm switching off of Valorant into games that I actually enjoy playing. And if you hit that subscribe button, it would mean the world.
That's scary to do.
I like to keep these intros short, so let's talk about the finals. You probably know about the finals by now, and you probably have heard a lot of stuff about the game losing its players quickly. We'll start this video off by talking about why a lot of players didn't stick around during Season 1, and spoiler alert, every single one of those issues has been fixed. While a lot of people would talk about the gameplay first, one of the most striking issues on PC that led to the dip in players on Steam was performance. During Season 1, there were a ton of people with low-end PCs running the game.
Oh my god, I remember hearing everybody complain about performance.
But with higher-end
I didn't have the worst problems with
experiencing stutter and frame skipping. The first patch ended up with
I had frame skipping, but like it wasn't bad. Like it wasn't. I had like a NASA PC at the time, especially I think I had brand new PC with the 4090 in it. So mine wasn't too bad, but I remember lots of people telling me
Mixed
that theirs
results,
wasn't
with
great.
people who had issues before being able to run the game fine, but introducing issues and FPS loss to people who were running fine before. I can confidently say that all of that has since been fixed. Not only that, but since Season 4,
Okay.
the performance has been getting better with each update as Embark continues to work on various optimizations on the engine level. The game is running better than ever now that we're on Season 6. But performance wasn't the issue for the vast majority of the players not sticking around, especially considering the console crowd. Instead, one of the earliest issues in the game was with regards to some extremely overpowered and easily abused mechanics. At first,
This lasted a long fucking time. Some people say it lasted 6 months. I don't know how long it lasted, but it lasted long enough that when I was playing the game, I was like, I'm over this shit. I'm done. I'm gone. This is one of the things that made me really not enjoy the game. If it is fixed now, which they're going to get into, that's fine. But that doesn't mean this didn't happen. Unfortunately, the truth for a game that has a rocky launch or has a rocky history, you are fighting an uphill battle. I tell you this as an Overwatch streamer. Overwatch today has made tons of improvements. Arguably right now, in its current state, it's the best the game has been since maybe 2016, 2017 Overwatch with its hype. It genuinely is. The only big thing now is format, in which the player base is still divided, but I think we're having a bit of a renaissance on maybe potentially getting both 6v6 and 5v5. Regardless though, Overwatch is still fighting an uphill battle of its demons, its PvE, its Blizzard shit, all this other stuff. And that's unfortunately the reality we live in. The finals potentially may have that same uphill battle.
First glance, it sounds like a simple overlooked balance issue, but it wasn't as easy as adjusting damage profiles of certain gadgets. When the game launched, there was a big nuke problem. The strat was something that even the developers had shown off in an official video to talk about the sandbox of the game, and different approaches that you could take with it. To make a nuke, a heavy player would just throw C4 on an explosive barrel, and the compounding explosion of the C4 plus the barrel would be enough to delete medium players.
If there wasn't been a lot of Marvel Rivals, I think people would play Overwatch now. Oh no, I actually think Rivals is still the best thing Overwatch could have ever had. Just give it 6 months. In 6 months from now, whenever people start really getting sick of Rivals, it's already starting, by the way. If you look at the sentiment around Season 2 and a lot of their announcements of things that are going on, give it a few more months. Honestly, it could even be by the end of this month with Stadium coming out. It legitimately could. Regardless, though, I don't think they would have went right back to Overwatch. I think it's still an uphill battle.
This was slowly nerfed until Season 2, when they made some massive changes that fixed that problem entirely. But it wasn't just the nukes.
In Season 2, right?
Very broken specialization in the game for mediums called...
You said Season 2, right? Just to be sure.
And the compounding explosion of the C4 plus the barrel would be enough to delete medium players. This was slowly nerfed until Season 2, when they made some massive changes that fixed that problem entirely. But it wasn't just the nukes. There used to be a very broken specialization in the game for mediums called recon senses. This was basically a wall hack that worked way too well, and was eventually removed from the game altogether. And since launch, the developers have been a lot faster to implement a heavy emphasis on balance while sticking to their creative vision of the game. There aren't many developers that would realize that an item in the game was so problematic that it requires removal. And as for Embark, they've proven to us many times over that they really care about creating a balanced environment where every weapon, gadget, and specialization remains just as viable as anything else. But the final nail in the coffin for many players wanting to try the game out at first was the steep learning curve and the lack of other game modes on launch. For new players, if you didn't play the beta, there was a lot to learn, especially as far as playing the objective, understanding movement mechanics and team play, and getting nuked around every corner did not make this much easier. Skill floor is a different topic to address, especially in an objective-based game like the finals, but the solution is to add easier game modes where the objective is still important but less complicated to understand. Season 2 introduced the first new game mode called Power Shift, and they've been adding more game modes ever since, with Terminal Attack.
So I have a question. I don't know if anyone's gonna be able to answer it in chat, but like future question. Is more game modes for your game good or bad? Because we ran into the problem in Overwatch of having too many game modes, and now most people agree that it's too much. They're talking about adding all these new game modes, and another thing that stuck out to me is they talked about everything being balanced. So I have had this new philosophy for the last few months of I'm just here for the fucking ride. Rivals has been like, you know what? We've listened to years of people complaining and saying that like games being balanced isn't good and that it should just be casual fun. And I think Rivals has been a bit of a good example for that, even though I think now that we're leaving the honeymoon phase, the wheels are starting to come off and people are asking for balance. which is very funny. I guess my curiosity is everything being quote unquote balanced in finals still making it very fun? Or is it more of a competitive, like everyone's like, okay, I'm cool with it because it's competitively balanced? Because it seems like there's been a bit of a shift recently in the games industry to just go more wacky and go more fun over actual balanced gameplay.
Making a
So
brief appearance as the
maybe they can
official
stand
ranked
out because of
mode,
that.
and with Team Deathmatch finally being added now in Season 6, there are now a ton of new ways for players to get experience without having to jump into the main mode. But adding new game modes did more than just add ways for players to get experience with the
shit,
game.
I've
It
just got
also added a lot of
flashbanged.
new avenues for Embark to create a very rewarding progression system. But we'll talk about
Jesus
that a bit later in the
Christ.
video. I think we've addressed enough of how the finals has had its redemption arc since Season 1, so now let's talk about why you should be paying attention to this game, and let's look at the problems with gaming in general that the finals fixes. No matter what game it is, you'll always hear about players complaining about SBMM.
Skill-based matchmaking.
Yeah, but isn't this kind of just like the boogeyman under your bed that isn't actually there? Because like X-Defiant fell apart. Even though I think X-Defiant just closed up too early. I think if they waited a little longer for the COD cycle to die, because it was coming soon, they could have been okay. And two, didn't Call of Duty do like a test and like they put out like a huge, like Activision had like a whole thesis on when they changed, they took out matchmaking for a little bit and like didn't tell anybody to test it, and like their player numbers like fell off a cliff. Like people just started playing way less.
If SBMM wasn't a thing, I would stream multiplayer. SBMM, I've said this before and I'll say it again, man. SBMM is I dare say, killing video games. Well,
And I just want to say, by the way, I am actually someone that used to have that opinion as well. I'm someone that used to say that SBMM was bad. I still stand by that too tight SBMM, like where like if you play quick matches, shouldn't be your same SBMM as ranked. Like quick matches should be like much looser, because like it's supposed to just get you in, get you out. Some games you're gonna get shit stomped, some games you're gonna pop off, right? Like you have to have a little bit in between where ranked is supposed to be like you are locked in, like this is like we are like, you know, divisions, like, you know, like almost like in real sports where you have like Division 1, Division 2, Division 1 AA, Division 1A, or even like Pop Warner. Technically you had that too, right, where you had like different age groups of kids or different size groups of kids, like you'd put them together because like it's more competitive. It's not, no one's going to dominate, but QP I think is where it can be a little bit looser. Regardless though, SBMM isn't actually a bad thing. Gamers think it's a bad thing, but they're wrong.
Well, folks, the finals
That's
does
what the
not
data
and has
shows.
not ever had SBMM implemented. It also doesn't have any form of engagement optimized matchmaking either. This is the one that
Oh, here we go. Isn't this like the Rivals, like didn't someone like, isn't there some like conspiracy about Rivals matchmaking or something because of that? And it's like 50-50 Overwatch one again, and it's because like back in the day people found the patent to Overwatch's ranked system, and like technically what it was trying to do was trying to force you to having a somewhat 50-50 experience. Spyro believes it, and that tells me a lot. I haven't, to be fair, looked into it that much, other than like high level, like reading like tweets and stuff like that about it, mostly because I've literally done this before. I've gone down this road where they did this in Overwatch. Same thing happened in Overwatch, where the idea was to start putting you closer and closer together and make your games a little bit tougher, because the idea is that a good player will overcome those and keep climbing. The Overwatch one was, the way it was written, all it said was like their matchmaking system was so fucking good that it found your rank and made sure you stayed in that rank and didn't have you fluctuate too much, so you wouldn't have bad days. Like it would make it so like you wouldn't have days where you go on 15 game win streaks and then the next day you go on a 15 game losing streak. Like it will keep you where you're supposed to be, because that's where you're supposed to be. You know what I mean? Like the Rivals one's a little bit different. I'm not nearly as well versed in it. I'm explaining from the Overwatch one because I looked into it way back when, and so I think the way I interpret it was another buzz
that many people are upset about with titles like Marvel Rivals
and I think that including it here just to like force home your point of why the finals is good, it's a little bit of low. That's my personal opinion, though. I think that there's other good things you can talk about though with like the finals being good without saying like, oh, you should play it because it's better than this one. You know what I mean?
COD. The only time SBMM was ever enabled in this game was during a small test window with the launch of Season 2, and it was met with such backlash that it was disabled after 2 days. But regardless,
I'm just curious for the future, did they tell people that they were implementing the skill-based matchmaking when they did that? Or did they just do it? If no one in chat knows, that's fine. It'll be just like a future Someone will figure it out. That's okay. That's a future question for whenever this ends up being a video.
List to so many people out there who complain about SBMM or EOMM, this is your game. This is
because if they did say they were doing it, players are going to be much more alert and they're going to be like, no. But if you just don't tell them and just implement it and then look at the data, like, did people play more often? Did they not play more often, right? Like,
your time to shine. Another issue we've seen time and time again is gamers complaining that every single game is the same these days. And while I have a whole video talking about how Fragpunk is not the same as Valorant, the majority of the discussion around that game is about how they're so similar that it can't be ignored. The same can be said for Marvel Rivals when compared to Overwatch, or any Battle Royale title compared to Warzone or Apex or PUBG, or Valorant itself being compared to CS2, or COD being compared to XDefiant, rest in peace. And the list goes on. But the finals is truly the first of its kind. Fully destructible environments, a fully unique objective, and overarching game design. There is no other game that has anything close to what the finals has to offer as far as pure new game design goes.
I don't, this is just my own ideology around why this is. I'm gonna be honest with you. I've held this belief for quite a long time, is that gamers only have a certain amount of time every day, especially older gamers, like gamers between 18 and beyond, right? Once you get into college years, past college years, into working years, you only have 5 hours a week to game, or more or less, depending on how much you got going on. You got another job, you have 2 jobs, do you have a kid, do you have a girlfriend, do you have a husband, right? Like whatever it might be, you might not have as much time. And people don't like sucking balls at anything. They don't want to be shit. So what ends up happening is if you spent your youth or your younger years playing Overwatch, right? And you were pretty damn good at Overwatch, right? Let's say you were like a diamond Overwatch player. You're above average. You like playing games similar to Overwatch because you can go into those games and your skills will transfer and you'll do pretty well. And so you don't feel like a scrub. You don't feel like you have to learn everything all over again. And you still get a similar experience to what you've previously enjoyed. It's really difficult to go from, say, Overwatch to Valorant. Like, their speed is so different. Or Apex is actually, to be fair, Apex is actually closer to Overwatch. Let's say Fortnite. Fortnite to Overwatch is a big jump, right? And so what ends up happening is people like games that are similar to other games, even though they'll always go back to their actual, like, true roots. Like, COD players went and tried XDefiant. They went back to COD. You know, CS players who went to go try Valorant, you know, they probably went back to CS eventually. But, like, there was still a lot of people that just played Valorant and it went well. Now you have Fragpunk, right? Like, Valorant players probably went and tried Fragpunk, then they'll probably go back to Valorant. But that doesn't mean they don't like the other game too. It depends on how big they end up being. Like, I think Rivals is a bit of an outlier in that department, right? But a game like the finals, there is not many transferable skills, I would assume, because it's completely unique. And you'd have to be starting from scratch learning. And I think that's probably scary to a lot of gamers on the outside. It's probably scary to take the plunge into that. Because, like, if you only have 5 to 10 hours, let's say a week, to really work on, you know, your gaming and play games, are you going to spend that 5 hours getting absolutely shit on in a new game that you might not end up enjoying? Or are you going to spend that 5 hours doing something you actually enjoy? Or playing whatever the new flavor of the month game is. Your Schedule 1s, right? Schedule 1 just came out. Schedule 1 ends up being the new flavor of the month. Rivals was actually the flavor of the month for like 2 months, from like December, January, February, a little bit. What other games, the big games that came, like Elden Ring at some point was like the new flavor when it came out, then the DLC. You get what I'm saying? Like, there's always some big new game. Monster Hunter, Repo, yeah, like people will play those for like a couple weeks and then they'll move on to the next one, right? So if you have 5 to 10 hours a week, right? And you spend half of that time playing the new game that's out, whatever the new flavor of the month game is, and then you spend the other half probably playing what's a little bit more comfortable to you. You know, that's what I at least feel like what it's like. But
off the back of that, you can't tell me that the finals does not have some of the most beautiful maps you've ever seen, combined with fully destructible environments.
The maps do look very, very good, actually.
Titles a shame, with a satisfying movement system, fluid physics engine, and strikingly good gunplay. This game is genuinely a breath of fresh air.
Money that I had.
I forgot.
What were you expecting a long TTS? Yeah, well, f*** you. Okay, pause. What the f*** was that last TTS?
I have no idea. I'm gonna mute alerts, so sorry. I didn't realize I had him on for videos. My bad.
Share on the market. And to be honest, that should be reason enough to give this game another shot if you have not already. But if you're not convinced yet, I'm not even done. This video still has some more minutes of runtime left, so let's keep going. The Finals is the first game that truly feels like a next generation shooter. Even just booting up the main menu to see your character, you can tell that this game was made with love and care. So let's start by talking about the graphics and the optimization. If you have an RTX card, the Finals enables ray tracing by default. I recommend you turn it off or at least adjust the settings to your preference here. But the good news, you can tweak every setting in real time, even mid-match, without needing to restart your game. On the optimization side of things, this game
really
also
cool.
has the best frame generation implementation that I've ever seen. The input delay is minimal as long as your base FPS is above 120. Compare that to COD Warzone.
Little things like this, I always get impressed by, like the shine here reflecting off of that. That's really cool.
COD Warzone and its extreme latency when you're using frame gen, it is night and day, and the Finals truly changed my opinion on frame gen in multiplayer titles. I have yet to see another game with frame gen feel this good with it enabled. DLSS is also implemented perfectly here, offering sharp visuals with better performance and lower input latency. In most cases, DLSS alone is enough, making frame generation unnecessary for the vast majority of NVIDIA users. Overall, this game is really worth playing at higher settings for just how beautiful everything is. Hell, even on the lowest settings, the design philosophy of the game itself is striking. The effects, the lighting, the depth of field,
yeah, let's be real. Every competitive FPS gamer buys a NASA level PC to put everything on all low.
But that's just the graphics. Let's talk about the game now. The gunplay is fun and extremely
rewarding.
really
good.
There's no secondary weapons, so you have to be pretty careful about managing your reloads during a fight, but that makes for a clear pacing in team fights and engagements. The weapon choices in this game are amazing as well. Melee weapons, pistols, grenade launchers, rifles, SMGs, shotguns, and now even a minigun. Compared to other shooters with designated roles like duelists, supports, tanks, etc., the Finals takes an asymmetric approach with heavy, medium, and light contestants. Light players are glass cannons with abilities that can help with movement and weapons that deal a surprising amount of damage. Of course, though, you are still a tiny 150 HP light player. Then you've got heavies, which are big and easier to shoot, but with 350 HP, it's gonna take a lot longer to kill them. And they rely on shields, big explosions, and beefy weapons with high damage but slow reloads. The balance between the classes feels intuitive even for new players. Then, of course, you have mediums, who do have some movement in the form of gadgets with zip lines and jump pads, and a very creative dematerializer specialization that makes moving through the destructible environment super easy. But the damage output of the weapons here is balanced to be in the middle of the pack. This is the part of the video that I was talking about earlier. The progression in the Finals has been amazing over the past few seasons, especially since they added World Tour. If you have ever wanted that perfect mix of ranked and quick play without SBMM, World Tour is that. You earn points even if you get last place, but obviously
this is the thing where you can actually like end up getting in-game currency,
right? First place gets you points a lot quicker, and these points will place you higher and higher in the World Tour ranking system up to Emerald. There's a similar system for quick play as well, and of course you have your classic ranked system too. The rewards for these are pretty amazing as well, and to be honest, you don't need to spend any money on weapon cosmetics because if you get the ranked ones, well, that's the way to show off. Besides that, there's your player level, weapon and gadget levels, and sponsor circuits allowing you to complete challenge to earn unique cosmetics.
I still gotta like point out though, this is like information overload, like the whole sponsors thing, and like there's so many progression systems. It's not, but it kind of reminds me of like really juiced up gacha games where they have like a bajillion things to go through. Hell, even Fragpunk did it. Fragpunk had so many different venues that you had to go through and different reward systems and an actual gacha system. I know that they're highlighting this as like a really cool, good thing. And I'm not saying it's not. It's just a lot, and it probably is difficult for like someone who's just going to jump in and understand like what are they even getting.
Circuits allowing you to complete challenge to earn.
Feels very similar to COD menus. It's intuitive as COD menus. Is COD menus like that now?
No matter what you're doing, you are leveling up and earning XP towards some sort of progression. And you're going to need to unlock weapons as well. So while you're playing, you earn VRs. And
wait, COD does that now, and COD is really bad? Oh boy.
Every single game that you play that you use to unlock.
Well, then again, I guess COD's trying to make a comeback with like Verdansk, but I mean, that's a whole other
weapons,
thing.
gadgets, specializations, as well as sights for your weapons. And the best part, there is no way to pay real money to unlock these faster. That's right, you have to play the game to get enough VRs to unlock everything. This should be standard practice in today's world, in this economy, but alas, at least the finals is one of the few games to get it right. So, if you tried the game before, but you haven't been back since launch, or if you haven't tried the game at all, why should you play? Well, for starters, if you're one of the more than 10 million players that downloaded this on launch and have since put the game down for one of the reasons that I listed in the beginning, this is your sign to give it another shot. When it comes to gaming discourse, you always hear the phrase, vote with your wallet. And this is one of the games that really deserves that support. When developers are actively listening to the community and working towards building something that is truly game-changing, genre-defining, and doing it in the right way, they deserve the support of a much wider community. Not to mention, the cosmetics in this game are quite fairly priced, and I love that they have bundles where instead of just paying for the in-game currency, you also get skins along with it. The battle passes alone contain such high-quality skins, and combined with the fact that the battle pass earns you your money back in in-game currency, so your next battle pass is free, plus some extra on the side, it's just good consumer-friendly practices all around. And finally, as I mentioned in the intro, this game is just starting to ramp up. Not only have they teased what's in store for Season 7 and Season 8, but in addition to the $100,000 tournament coming up later this year, Embark's publisher Nexon announced a partnership with Tencent to create a version of the finals adapted for launch in the Chinese market. If that doesn't ease your mind about the state of the finals, then hopefully your experience in World Tour, Quick Play, or Ranked will change your mind now in Season 6. And now it's your turn. Did this video convince you to give the finals a shot in 2025? Have you been playing all this time? Has Embark addressed your concerns with the game, or did I miss something?
I will say, because you always see stuff when videos like this come out, it's like, oh, how much did they pay them? I don't really like comments like that, because like people are passionate, right? Like you can disagree with somebody, and it's not like they're not like the only reason that exists is not because like, oh, they disagree with me, they must be getting paid. And it's like, no, like people can disagree with you. Like someone can make a video like this or can have an opinion like this and be passionate. I enjoy this, right? Like I think this is really good. You should try it too. It's weird. We've almost entered this new culture where like everything is cringe, everything is weird. Anyone who like, if you try to like, if you're passionate or excited about something, it's like there must be something else at play. And I think it's just kind of weird. I don't like it. I think it's kind of dumb. Regardless, though, hang on, let me finish the video before I say anything.
Let me know in the comments, and make sure you're subscribed so that you don't miss the next video, and send this one to your friends who are on the fence about the finals. I know if they download it, Season 6 will convince them. I also want to remind you to join the Discord server as well.
There's some small things this doesn't address, like the AI thing. When I talked about the AI thing being a little bit of something I wasn't really a huge fan of in the previous video, like a lot of people were like, well, that's not a big problem because it was like the voice actors like agreed to it or something, and it's like, oh, it's only very small. But I haven't seen anyone who's like actually put together a good argument of like why it was fine, why it's like, oh, it's not as actually big of a deal. That really wasn't addressed here, which is definitely something that a lot of people I think were turned off by, because it was something they bragged about openly, was having that. So like that's something if you're gonna have it, you gotta own it, right, and explain how it's used. I didn't see that was in here. Not saying that's their job, but just like that's like a small thing I would consider. And if you don't think that's something people will consider, I think you're very wrong. I think that people outside that aren't in your sphere of your game it's something that they would consider. I will say though, it is really cool that they fixed a lot of those problems, a lot of those issues to get people to come back, or not people to come back, sorry, get people to listen to their community and actually improve what they're doing. I won't lie though, you're going to have an uphill battle. I still think you'll have an uphill battle for sure. For myself personally, I didn't see anything that I was like super like, hell yeah, that looks super fun, right? Like there was no, there, like at least from like a lot of the footage I've seen, there wasn't any like super cool gadgets or super cool classes or super cool like exciting things other than I guess like the building destruction and fighting through buildings and stuff like that at least grabs my attention to the point of like, hell, I want to go try that right now. If people love the game and they're doing all these good things for it, hopefully it keeps on thriving and people actually will end up playing it. At least where I'm at personally at the moment, I don't see anything that's like huge, I don't see anything huge that really makes me want to like jump back in, other than I guess like the graphics, but like optimization and graphics, yeah, like hell yeah, glad it's optimized. That's good for the game. That's good for their players. But you know, that's not going to make me really jump back in. The maps are beautiful, but like again, that's not like something I'm super thrilled or into. Again, like the uphill battle is going to be the big problem because you're fighting back from like a unfortunate launch. But I mean, like, hey, hopefully it keeps doing that. Hopefully it keeps going well. Hopefully they keep implementing things and hopefully they keep listening to their community. And I'd love to see maybe in like 6 months from now, they have some big comeback even further and they add more stuff and something exciting catches my eye and maybe I go play it.